This book came out in 1978, and it's the closest thing that litrpg has to a birth certificate, and most people reading the genre right now have absolutely no idea about it. So a quick version of where litrpg actually comes from, because there is no clean answer. It depends entirely on where you draw the line. If you draw it at the word itself, the answer is Russia 2013. Exmo, the biggest publisher over there, launched an imprint and straight called it litrpg. The two books usually credited with starting it are Dira's Alter World and Vasily Makhanenko's Survival Quest, both circulating from 2012. Strict definition, visible stat blocks, experience notification, level ups, right there on the page. That's your origin point. If you draw it at the idea instead, it gets older and way messier. Reki Kawahara put Sword Art Online as a web novel in 2002 and arrived basically at the same furniture independently. Larry Niven and Stephen Barnes wrote Dream Park in 1981 from the live-action role-play angle. Joel Rosenberg dropped a group of gamers into their own campaign in Guardians of the Flame in 1983. And then there is this one, 1978, Norton Andre Quag Kip. Gary Gygax had launched Dungeons & Dragons 4 years earlier, and he invited Norton to play a session in his own world of Greyhawk. She was already a legend by then, decades of science fiction behind her, and about to become the first woman ever named a Grandmaster by the Science Fiction Writers of America. She was also a librarian for 20 years, the kind who fought her own brands to get The Hobbit onto the shelves. She was in her 60s, she played once, then she went home and wrote the first novel ever licensed from a role-playing game. And let's look at what she did with it. 7 strangers meet in a tavern. In the city of Greyhawk, every one of them is wearing a metal bracelet strung with tiny many-sided dice, and every so often those dice spin on their own, and the outcome lands whichever way they fall. Game mechanics visibly intruding into the prose in 1978. The characters slowly work out what they are. Somebody else is rolling for them. My honest read on it, as a novel, it's not great. The premise gets maybe 40 pages out of 220. The middle is fairly plain quest across the map, and it sits at 3.2 in Goodreads, I believe. I read it as an artifact, not as a story. But here's the part that I keep thinking about. Every argument about where this genre starts gets fought over books from the last 20 years. And the person who actually got there first did it in 1978 under a name she'd taken in 1934 because her publisher didn't think that boys would buy a book by someone called Alice. She never claimed to have invented anything. She played one game and wrote it down.